Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that made me question everything. Story 1. My sister wants me to grow my hair for her wedding. So my sister just told me I need to grow out my hair for her wedding or I can't be in it. Let me paint you a picture here. I'm someone who keeps really short hair, I don't wear dresses, and makeup just isn't my thing. That's just who I am, you know. But when my sister started planning her wedding, she dropped this bombshell on me. First, she said if I don't wear a dress, I can't be part of the wedding at all. It has to be a specific type of dress too, not just any dress. I thought about it and decided, okay, I love my sister. I'll wear a dress just for her special day. I even said I'd consider makeup, even though the feel of it on my face drives me crazy. But then she dropped the next requirement. She wants me to grow out my hair. Now, I've had short hair for years. It's part of who I am, and growing it out would take months. I offered what I thought was a perfect compromise. I told her I'd wear a wig instead. Problem solved, right? Wrong. She said that's dumb and it wouldn't look right. I explained to her again that I won't grow out my hair, but I'm willing to do everything else she's asking. The wig would give her the look she wants for the photos without me having to completely change who I am. But she's not budging. She keeps insisting that I need to grow my hair out, and she won't accept the wig as an alternative. I'm starting to feel like she cares more about having matching bridesmaids than having her sister there to support her. I get that it's her wedding day and she wants everything to be perfect, but asking someone to fundamentally change their appearance for months seems like a lot. It's not like asking someone to wear a specific color dress or style their hair differently for one day. She's asking me to grow my hair for months just so it looks a certain way for a few hours. The whole situation is making me wonder if she really wants me there as her sister, or if she just wants someone who fits her vision of the perfect wedding party. Am I being unreasonable for refusing to grow my hair out? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. I threw out my roommate's disgusting science project. So I just threw out my roommate's science project and he's absolutely furious with me. Here's what happened. I live with this guy Dan, and we've been getting along pretty well for the most part. Dan's a biology student, so he's always got weird school stuff going on. A few weeks ago, he brought home this jar with a dissected animal inside it. Yeah, I know, gross right? He put it on our kitchen counter and told me it would only be there for a few days as part of some school project. Well, a few days turned into 2 weeks, and this thing was still sitting there on our counter. The smell was getting absolutely horrendous. Every single day it got worse, and it was spreading through our entire apartment. I couldn't even eat in the kitchen anymore because the smell was so bad. I tried talking to Dan about it multiple times. I asked him when he was going to move it, reminded him how long it had been sitting there, and told him how the smell was affecting me. But he kept making excuses and saying he'd deal with it later. The smell got so bad that I started eating all my meals in my room just to avoid the kitchen. I couldn't have friends over because the whole place reeked. Finally, I'd had enough. I wrapped the jar in multiple garbage bags and threw it out. When Dan found out, he completely lost it on me. He started yelling about how I ruined his project and that he needed it for school. He said I should have given him more warning before throwing it away. But here's the thing, I did give him warning. Multiple warnings, actually. I told him over and over again that the smell was unbearable and asked him to move it somewhere else, like his room or a lab at school. I even offered to help him find a better place for it. But he kept putting it off and making excuses. I think 2 weeks of a rotting animal smell in our shared kitchen is more than enough patience from a roommate. Was I supposed to just live with that disgusting smell indefinitely? Story 3. My friend said her life would be over if she became disabled. So my best friend just said something that really hit me hard, and I'm not sure if my reaction was fair. Let me give you some context first. I was born with cerebral palsy, and I'm a full-time wheelchair user. This is just my normal, you know. My best friend and I often have really deep conversations about all kinds of subjects, and disability came up in our conversation. That's when she dropped this bomb. She said that if she became disabled, her life would practically be over because she couldn't do the things she does now. I get where she's coming from, I really do. She's a dancer, she loves to draw, and if she had an accident that affected her motor skills, then yeah, those specific activities might become challenging. But hearing her say her life would basically be over really stung. Here I am, living my life, going to school, having relationships, pursuing my goals, and she's essentially saying that a life like mine isn't worth living. When I called her out on it, I pointed out that I'm disabled and I'm living a pretty fulfilling life. I told her that her comment was hurtful because it implied that people like me don't have lives worth living. She immediately got defensive and said that's not what she meant at all. She tried to explain that she was only talking about her specific situation and her specific interests. She said she didn't mean to imply that disabled people can't live good lives, just that she personally couldn't handle becoming disabled. But I'm struggling with this because, intentional or not, her words really hurt. It's one thing to acknowledge that becoming disabled would require adjustments and might be challenging. It's another thing entirely to say your life would be over. The thing is, so many people have this view of disability, and it contributes to how society treats us. When people think disability equals a life not worth living, it affects everything from healthcare decisions to accessibility to how we're treated in everyday situations. Maybe I was too harsh in calling her out, but these conversations matter. Am I wrong for being upset about what she said? Story 4. I wouldn't let a kid into my apartment building. So I just had this really uncomfortable situation that's making me question everything about being a good person versus being safe. I was coming home from work today when this kid, probably about 13 or 14 years old, approached me as I was walking up to my apartment building. I'd never seen him before in my life. He asked me if I lived in the building, and I said maybe, because honestly, I'm not about to confirm where I live to a stranger. Then he told me this story about how he locked himself out and his mom wasn't home, and he was so happy I showed up to let him in. Here's where it gets tricky. I told him I don't let anybody without keys who I don't recognize into the building. He asked me why, and I explained it's not safe and there's a reason the apartment building is locked. The kid seemed genuinely confused and kept insisting he lived there, but I stuck to my guns. He started getting more upset, asking what he was supposed to do and saying he just needed to get inside. I suggested he call his mom, a relative, or even the police if he was really locked out. But I made it clear I wasn't going to let him in without proper verification. As I was walking into the building, he called me a bad person, which honestly made me feel terrible. The whole interaction left me feeling really conflicted. On one hand, this could have been a completely innocent kid who was genuinely locked out and just needed help. Kids do lock themselves out sometimes, and maybe I could have helped someone in a really stressful situation. On the other hand, letting strangers into a secure building is exactly how break-ins happen. I've heard so many stories about people using sob stories or pretending to be residents to get into buildings they don't belong in. And the fact that I'd never seen this kid before in a building where I know most of the other tenants made me suspicious. Plus, there are proper procedures for these situations. If he really lived there, his mom would have keys, the building management could help, or the police could verify his story. I keep going back and forth on whether I did the right thing. Was I being appropriately cautious, or was I just being paranoid and mean to a kid who needed help? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.